There you go.
The broadcast is live. We are here again at 5:30 on Tuesday with the Nashvillains live. And so cheers, boys, before we get started. Cheers to all of y'all.
Salute.
We're all in different locations.
Spring break, baby.
And you know what? The funny thing happened though. Brett texted me about 4:30. Is like, where are you guys? Brett is actually in the Eastern time zone, and he was cussing me out on the phone before we realized that. You know, we're all in different time zones.
Well, apparently Gatlinburg's East Coast. I had no idea. Time zone, so Eastern.
Yeah, somewhere the closer you get, somewhere on the way to Chattanooga, you hit that East Coast, that Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
But how you boys doing?
Eastern time zone.
Good, man.
One county over.
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, is that right?
I'm doing well. Doing good.
Cool.
Doing good. Hey, I want to do some housekeeping real quick. I want to let the guys know, or let the audience know that we got a single drop. This is a good week for us. This is a big week for us. We got a single dropping on Friday called "Tumbling Down," and our guest today is actually the first thing you hear on that single, which is pretty cool. So it's the first thing you hear when you push play. The first thing you hear is our guest, and I want to make sure that you guys check us out on our website. We have a website that's live now, and it's at NashvilleansBand.com. And pretty soon we're gonna have merch up there and everything. But make sure you check us out on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
All of those are most of them. I don't know what happened, but most of them are Nashvillains Band with a plural at NashvilleansBand.com. Or Nashvillains Band on Twitter, on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. But the Twitter is without the S, so it's Nashvillain Band to get on Twitter. So anyway, I don't know how that happened. We got to fire somebody for that.
It doesn't matter. We got 4 followers on Twitter. It's all good.
Well, that's not something you want to broadcast, dude.
Well, we've got a lot of followers on the other platforms, but not on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, so, we got all these, we got all this stuff happening on YouTube. So go check us out there at Nashvillains Band. But,
in fact,
I want to introduce our. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in fact, a lot of guitar players are going to know our guest is coming up. He's a world famous guitar player, session player, amazing on tons and tons and tons and tons of records. But he's actually on, like you said, our next single and the single after it. He's playing on that as well.
Well, I want to go down the list. Because I pulled it up and I had no idea that it was this. I knew it was long, but okay, so our guest is Tom Bukovac. And he's played on, he's either done sessions for or toured with Steven Tyler, Stevie Nicks, Bob Seger, John Oates, Joan Osborne, Vince Gill, Dave Stewart, Josh Stone, Hank Williams Jr., Sheryl Crow, Don Henley, Carrie Underwood, Rascal Flatts, Keith Urban, Willie Nelson, and Martina McBride, Faith Hill, Kenny Loggins, Reba McEntire, Blake Shelton, Leanne Rive, Florida Georgia Line. I could go on. And what I'd like to add to this list is the Nashvillains.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So bring on Tom, buddy.
Here's Tom, everyone. Hey, Tom.
There he is.
Cheers, brother.
There he is, the man.
Cheers.
Sporting his Rolling Rock.
Cheers,
like an 18-year-old.
You forgot
like a
Joe
college
Walsh,
dropout.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
You forgot that.
Oh, you're right. And I meant to start with that. Man. Talking about Joe Walsh. Okay, so when you did you tour with him, or was it a session, or what?
Back in 2017, I think it was, we did the last Tom Petty tour. We opened for him on the last tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
now,
cool.
if I was in that situation, it would take all of my strength not to play the coolest lick, the most famous lick that I can't think of it right now, but yeah.
Well, we used to
He
start
was
the
with that
show
Joe
with,
Walsh lick.
I remember this one.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
We used to do that one. Remember
Is that Rocky? That's Rocky Mountain Way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's Rocky Mountain Way.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
talking about that about.
That one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
He was fun to play with, man. You know, I grew up in Cleveland, right? So he was like the only guy that ever made it out of Cleveland, like a real rock star, right? I mean, there was Trent Reznor, Chrissy Hines, a few others, but man, Joe was definitely the biggest. And so my whole childhood, all I ever heard about was Joe Walsh because he was from Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
he was born in Wichita, Kansas, but like came to prominence in Cleveland.
Right.
You know?
Man, what a great guitar player, man.
Oh, dude, man, it was like surreal getting to play with him because, you know, because it was like all I ever heard about my whole childhood. You know?
Yeah.
It was crazy, but he's a cool guy, man. We had a lot of fun, and the cool thing is like we would open the show. We would go on stage at 7 or 7:30, play for 30 or 45 minutes, and be on the bus to the next city at 9 o'clock that night.
You're kidding.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. Yeah, we had to take a band meeting to decide what night we were going to stay behind and actually watch the Petty show.
Wow.
You know, but man, all the Petty guys were really cool. They would come backstage and hang out and catering and stuff, and they were all super nice guys, like Mike Campbell and Ron Blair and all those guys. It was cool, man.
And that's somebody that's both those guys. I mean, I've never seen.
Too.
Yeah, never seen Joe Walsh in concert, or I wish I'd seen Petty when I had the chance. I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah, man, it was a fun thing, man. It was like there was moments I was pinching myself, going, "Is this really happening?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
Now you
So
also
did you trade when you were on stage with Joe? When you were on stage with Joe, did you trade licks with him? Did you get to play off of him?
Oh yeah, because the great thing about those records, right, is that the rhythm guitar parts on those records are just as important as the lead parts.
Right.
You know, so like you have to work very closely with him, to make that all work, and he'll tell you exactly what the fuck he wants you to play too, boy.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
was that hard?
It all wrong. Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, man. One of my buddies who passed away, Keith Olsen.
Yeah.
Keith. He did a lot of work with Joe Walsh as well.
Right.
I just remember him telling me some of the stories in the studio with him, man. Just some great stuff.
There were certain licks throughout the whole tour that I could never get it the way he wanted it. Like
really?
Like, oh my God! Like, I'll tell you something he was really picky about was the way he played the rhythm on. Remember the song "In the City"?
Yeah.
He would be like this. The way you played that, like, he kept trying to tell me. I tried every way to play that. I could never make him happy.
Really?
Yeah, but it was like he's got a certain way that he plays it, man, and he try to explain it, but you just can't. It's crazy, but he was a joy to work with, man. It was a lot of fun. It was cool.
Hey, speaking of that, man, have you ever been like as many sessions as you've done? Have you ever been in the studio and actually been stumped on something?
Yeah, I fired myself a time or two. I remember one time I was working on a Faith Hill record with Byron Gilmour, and I was trying to play this acoustic part that was way above my pay grade, and I just couldn't get it without squeaks. I couldn't get it, man, and I just said, Byron, I love you. I can't play this, but I know a lot of people that can. And I can't and I'll give you their number.
I'm sure it's not a lot.
I'm sure it's very rarely ever happened to you, but
a couple times. But, sometimes you just get miscast. Because I think more than anything, the casting of session players is more important. Like if you don't hire the right guys, they come in, and it's not that they're not doing a good job. They're just not right for the thing. So it's not their fault. It's the guy that hired them. They're like actors. If you hire
Right.
you know, Joe Pesci to be in a real sweet romantic role, it's not going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's like, so it's like sometimes I've been on sessions where I was just really miscast. I wasn't, you know, there wasn't the right guy for the thing, right? But it wasn't my fault. It's just that, you know, they didn't get the right guy, you know?
Well, I'll tell you, man.
Yeah, but that's got to affect you.
Well, it does, you know. You know, I always say that session playing is like 90% psychology, 10% music. You know?
Yeah.
It's a real mind fuck, man. When things start going awry and learning how to handle the shit that people say over the talk back. It's a life's work. It's a life's work, man. You know?
Yeah, man, you can say that about a lot of stuff. I mean, I would think a lot of stuff is 90% emotional, and you know, confidence is a lot, man. Confidence can carry you a long way, and hopefully you got the juice to back it up.
Yeah,
hey, I want to dig in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to dig into your. I read some things about your you know, when you got started. So. One of the questions I have is, so you started, you know, you picked up the guitar at 8. Apparently you were, you know, just playing around with it for a couple of years. But, you know, 10 when you were 10, you were like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Or at least this is a big part of my life. So what were you playing back there? What was your rig? Was it an electric guitar or was it acoustic?
Man. Well, my first guitar was like a cheap, like Ovation, you know, type copy. And, but I got a couple of real cheapo electrics early, but my original thing was like learning all that sort of Southern rock thing, like Skinner and Allman Brothers and all that. I mean, by the time I was 13, I was playing all that shit in like all the biker bars around Cleveland. You know,
right? That's what I read.
With no adult supervision till 2:30. But at age 13, like playing from 10 to 2:30. That's what I did.
That boggles my mind.
No, man, it was nuts, man. And like the guy that drove me home was the lead singer, and he would drink a bottle of Kessler's every night. And we get done and drive me back to my house. And I had school the next day and shit.
That's right.
It was crazy. I mean, like Wild West back in those days. And I got 2 kids now, and I look at the way I'm raising them, and I'm like, they're so spoiled. I won't even let them drink sodas.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Things have changed.
But,
well, your mom owned a bar. So
my dad,
of course, you played there.
Right. My old man was dead by the time I was like 3, and so he had this little shot and beer joint that he bought for his buddies to hang around in. Oh. So I had 4 siblings that are way older than me, and so when he died, she had to take over that bar. So I basically grew up in this little bar called the Surfside Lounge in East Lake, Ohio, and it was you know, all regulars, man. It just, you know, because there's like in Cleveland, there's like a bar in every corner, you know.
Yeah.
And
do you watch Shameless? Do you know that show Shameless?
Oh no, but I bet that's probably my whole childhood. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it's south side of Chicago, but it reminds me of the bar in Shameless.
Yeah, but you know, like I remember, like the first time I ever had to get up on stage, I was crying hysterically. I was so shy and nervous when I was 12 or something. But you know, you quickly get over that. You know, I was always the youngest guy in the band. You know, all the guys were in their 30s. The other guys, I was like 13. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I could never sing, man. I could play any instrument, but I can't sing for shit. I mean, you're an amazing singer at Troy, and I mean, like I always wanted to be a singer, but I just can't. I just been born.
I've heard you say that. Yeah, I've heard you say it. It ain't all it's cracked up to be, but I appreciate it.
You can certainly do it, man.
Most musicians all want to be singers. You know?
Don't they? It seems that way.
Hell, I'd be happy to be good at either of those things.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go to any of those things as well. I do. I take it really well.
I remember the first time I ever worked with you, Troy.
Yeah.
It was you. I keep reminding you of this sometimes when I see you, but you don't remember it at all.
I doubt it. Go ahead.
Well, this years ago, I produced a record in Nashville for an old guy, that I used to play in a band with in Cleveland named Bob Gatewood, and we did it at this weird little home studio out in Donaldson. And my buddy Rick owned the studio. He's a great guy. And you came in and sang some fucking amazing backing vocals on a couple of tracks. And I mean, if you heard it now, fucking
Right.
25 years later, you'd be like, damn, that shit sounds good.
Yeah, I hear that stuff all the time. Whenever I hear some old stuff. In fact, not too long ago, you know, Beard Music down there in Berry Hill. Not too long ago, I had to re-sing a song that I sang 10 years earlier. This is a 10-year. They rewrote the lyric, and I had to re-sing it. And I'm listening to this demo that I did 10 years ago, and I'm like, I don't think I can do that anymore, man.
Really?
That's just not something I can do anymore. But I mean, we got through it. But goodness gracious,
how do you feel like your voice has changed over the years, or your approach, or whatever? You know.
Well, you know, quite honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, I sing to the tuner now.
Right.
I make it. I sing enough to where I can tune it well.
Right. I see.
But you know, the more I do, well, you know, I'm my worst critic, so I'm going to say, you know, the worst things about what I do. But you know, when I the more I sing, the better I am. So you know, it all depends on how much time I have between sessions.
You feel like, how do most singers' voices change when they get older? They just lose a little bit of range, or
they lose. Well, yeah, they lose range, and they lose what do you call it? Agility. They lose. That's what I feel like I've lost a little bit, is my agility to move around, you know, the notes a little bit. But you know, dude, it's a muscle, so it's a matter of just practice. I mean, I you know, a long time ago I heard a story about Julie Andrews when she was you know, doing The Sound of Music, how she would warm up for hours ahead of time. And this was back when I was in my 20s. I'm like, why would you need to warm up so long? And now I know.
Yes.
Now I know why she did that. She warmed up for hours.
Yeah. Man,
so
talk about
that's what it takes.
A surreal experience. Like last week it was, or maybe 2 weeks back, I went to Muscle Shoals and produced like 4 tracks on Ann Wilson from Heart.
Yeah.
And she was fucking awesome.
Very
dude.
cool.
Yeah, I love her, man. Amazing voice.
Dude, I mean, like, it was, I was sitting behind the console, and she's out there in the room with that instrument. And I'm just like, I dream up a couple things for her to try, just to hear that fucking voice on the mic, you know. Like, on this one song, we had like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and she did like 4 or 5 takes, and they were all great. So we sat down and comped real solid, you know, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And then at the end of the tune, it was like this sort of like Zeppelin freak out, sort of Egyptian Indian thing. And it was like a long area where it could have been improv. And I go, man, hey, Ann, what if I just put a bunch of echo and shit on your vocal? Just go out there and get weird. Just try a bunch of crazy shit. All I did was I said, we were in the key of D. All I said was go.
Right.
I said something like that. Just go get out there and I just sang her that scale. And she fucking went out there and just crushed, man. Everybody in the control was just like, oh my God, man. It was amazing.
I mean, it makes you feel good as a producer too, to think, hey, I came up with that idea.
Right, yeah. What a great idea I had.
What a great idea I had.
Man, you know, it's just so cool to work with like real singers, man.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. So you worked with Vince Gill.
Oh man, he's amazing.
Well,
he actually
about a real singer.
He came down while we were there in Muscle Shoals and sang a duet with her. It was fucking amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
He's one of the best singers, man. His voice is like butter, and great guitar player too.
Yeah, he's best, man. He's old buddy, man. We toured together like 2 different years. I went on the road with him, and we had a blast, man.
Yeah,
great band. He's a great dude, man. Great friend. Man, what a salt of the earth cat, man.
Yeah,
you know?
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm on a horrible.
You know, it was pretty funny when they were doing that duet. You would never think this, but everybody said when they were singing at moments, it was hard to tell who was singing. You would never think. Oh,
really? Yeah.
Like it was like, I would never, my mind would go, Ann Wilson has a similar tone to Vince Gill.
Yeah.
But something about like when they were doing the track, I was like, fuck, is that her or him? I can't tell.
Wow.
It was a really weird thing.
Yeah, well, he's definitely got a very pure tone, like a female would have. I mean,
Yes.
that's part of his shtick. Is his tone
Yeah.
is just so pure.
And his
Yeah, man.
voice is like butter. I always describe his
love
voice as like butter.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
Hey, so tell us about your homeschooling thing, and is that a weekly event or is that a day? It seems almost daily.
Well, you know, it all started as a joke. First of all, back on the first day of quarantine.
As many of the events in your life
Yes,
do, right?
yes. And I think, if I would, I've said to people, like, I could have never fucking sat down and planned that. It would have never worked, right?
Right.
But it was a total joke. It all started as a joke. And back in the quarantine, I don't have a home studio. I'm like the only session guy in Nashville that doesn't have a home studio.
Well, you used to have a boss one.
I used to, but I don't have it anymore. And so, like,
hey, Scott, go ahead and do what you need to do, buddy.
Okay, yeah. So, I just was going out and doing one every day, video back in those days, because I was bored. I had nothing to do, and it helped me get through the whole thing. I would have gone crazy if I didn't have any kind of outlet for that,
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then nowadays, life is sort of back to normal. Well, somewhat. I'm back to work again, so I only got time to do like once a week now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I'm up to like 100 episodes, and I don't know if you saw the last couple, but Ron Bryce from Third and Lindsley, Ron, yeah. He texted me a while back and he said, "What number are you on with your homeschooling?" And I didn't even know he was watching the show. And I don't think he actually does. But I said, "I'm at 96," and he just wrote back 100. And I go, "What are you up to, you sneaky devil?" So we're doing a live show, man. I'm gonna go play for an hour, doing some of the opening instrumental jams from the show.
Nice.
So he said he could sell 170 tickets now with the COVID restrictions, and those sold out immediately, and it's going to be live streamed. And then he said, "Man, you got to do a second show." And I said, "Dude, I can't do a fucking second show. I'm like, I go to bed at 9 o'clock with the kids." And he said, "Man, do a second show." And I go, "I can't go up and do the same fucking hour-long show." He goes, "Just do a whole different set, different songs." And I go, "Okay, I'll do that." So I'm going to rehearse a band to play 2 totally different shows. And one's at 7 o'clock, one's at 9 o'clock on April 9th. And they're both already fucking sold out, man.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's awesome, man.
That's crazy.
Yes,
That's awesome.
And they're going to live stream it. I'm going to live stream it for free, no charge. But, because I got a lot of the people that watch my dumb show are like in, weird countries, man. They're all over the place.
Hey, I watch your show.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for that.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah.
But I haven't played live in a while, so I've got this thing in my mind. I feel like this thing is like a month away on the horizon. It's like I felt like like the same way I felt before my wedding. I've got this. I'm like scared to death of this thing. It's like, oh Lord, I better be ready for this. I hope I don't get sick.
Hey, Tom, I want to hear about your first time doing a session, man, because I'm sure that had to be, especially after you just moved to Nashville. I'm sure you were here for a while first. In Nashville.
Yeah, I moved from Cleveland like in 1992 when I was 24. Right,
cool.
52 now. And my first thing that I tried to do was just to get a road gig with anybody. Yeah. Right. I just wanted to get on any kind of professional fucking road. I would have taken anything, because I was a young kid. I totally green, man. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody down here, So the first gig I ever got was with this country guy that was on MCA named Lionel Cartwright. You remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an amazing artist.
That's a big gig.
Well, yeah, because Bob Britt was his original guitar player, and Bob just quit, so he needed somebody, and I'd never been on a tour bus or anything. I mean, it was like I was so green, man. It was like $250 a show, and I was fucking thrilled to get it, man.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a while, and then how like the road gig thing, you just sort of leapfrog from one gig to another, just trying to get better ones and better ones. And by like the mid '90s, I was playing with Winona Judd, right? And she had a killer band with like Eddie Bayers and Willie Weeks and shit.
Wow.
And it was like the first like real band I was ever in, like with like real badass, cats. And So I did that for a while. I toured with John Fogerty in 2000, opening for Tina Turner all across Europe, Germany.
Wow.
But by the late 90s, I was already kind of put my foot into the session thing. Just started with like shitty demos like you do, like terrible demos in people's basements, with bad engineers. And then you just slowly, Troy, you did it. You just work your way up, man. You get on better and better gigs, and you start playing on records.
Yeah.
But at first, man, I didn't know fucking anything. I was totally green. Like,
well, did you realize that you were expected to come up with, looks and stuff on the spot? I mean, to me, that's the part that is really daunting. Is that, I mean, we got to get this song in 15 minutes. So if you don't know what you're doing, then you're out.
Dude, I'm going to tell you a story, and I swear to God, every word of this is true. You're not going to believe it, okay? One of my first sessions, is some demo in somebody's basement, and I was hired to play acoustic. And, I could follow a chord chart enough to just, strum some, cowboy chords, right? So I did that, and the guy goes, "Hey, man, you want to put some electric on this? You got an electric rig?" And I go, I actually have a Tele and an AC30 in the car. So I went out and got it, and I came back.
Yeah, any good guitar player in Nashville is going to have a Tele and an AC30 in the car.
Exactly. And I go out to the car and get the thing, and I turn it on, and I'm standing there, and I go, "All right, what do you want me to play?" And the guy goes, "What?" He goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "You just play some shit on this." And I go, "Well, what do you want me to play?" I thought he was going to tell me,
like, direct you.
Like, I didn't know you were supposed to, like, write a part and play. I didn't even know that's what you did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how fucking bad.
So how did you get through that?
Man, I remember just panicking and like I just remember just trying to come up with something, but it sucked, and I didn't know how to get the tone back. I didn't know how to get.
Oh my god,
dude! I didn't know.
So you don't think you were able to get tone before you came to town? You don't think you had tone?
No, dude. No.
I mean, because that's a lifelong pursuit.
Dude, people are always saying, "Yeah, you're the fucking tone meister." But I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know how to get anything. I figured this shit out on the fly, dude. I mean, I mean, I didn't know nothing. I was like, I remember one time, for some fucking reason, in my first couple years of trying to do sessions, somebody booked me to play acoustic on a session with the fucking A-Team. Matt Rollins, Brent Mason, Eddie Bates, Paul Franklin, Gilmour, and I got thrown in a situation playing acoustic, and I had no reason to be there. I mean, some engineer hired me on this thing. I was like, "You want me to play with those guys?" Yeah. I came in. I was scared to death, man.
Oh my goodness!
You ever had one of those where you like thrown into some shit that's way out of your pay grade?
Yeah. I've had those. I've had those by hiring guys like you and Sean Hurley and Nicholas Rizzo and all the guys we hired and producing you guys on our album. I mean, stuff like that.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah, really. The only time I'm stressed in the studio is when I got 6 guys. When you're in a demo session and you got 6 guys saying, "Okay, well, what do you want to do?" Or you have an idea. The most stressful thing is you have an idea that doesn't land. When everybody's like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll try that. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
No, but as far as singing goes, I mean, singing, dude, I'm telling you, singing is just a whole lot easier than what you do. It's just more part of you. Well, at least it feels like it's more part of me. I mean, I know at this point,
riffs on the fly and stuff.
Right. I mean, I guess the most stressful thing for a singer is to do all the ad libs that people ask you to do. But I mean, and you know this, as long as you're unafraid, as long as you're not afraid to just totally screw up, then it'll come out. You can't be afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And studio is easy that way. You can always go back and redo it.
Totally. How old were you?
But you gotta be willing to look like a fool.
You do, man. How old were you when you knew you could sing?
Oh gosh, 5. I mean,
Really?
I was just like you. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was. I was able to sing for a long time,
Yeah.
and it was to be more specific, it wasn't until elementary school that when you're trying out for stuff I went to an elementary school that did a lot of musical things and had a pretty robust musical program.
Yeah.
And so, when it came to trying out for things and getting leads and things, I ended up being the guy that was picked a lot of the time. So that was, that sort of just developed my confidence. I'm like, okay, well,
Must
I guess
be all
this
right.
is something I guess people like it,
Yeah.
and I sang in church and,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So it's been a long, I'm just like your wife, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You just know from a very early age.
Yeah.
If you, and I actually didn't, I feel really bad about this now, but way long time ago when I was way young, I mentioned to somebody that they couldn't sing. And I'm like, and it destroyed them.
Oh.
And from then on, I'm like, oh my gosh, what I didn't realize was that people really want to do it.
Yeah.
And people really want to be able to do it. And it's I'm way blessed to be able to do it and kick myself a lot of the times for not treating it as respectfully as myself as I.
Totally, dude. I hear you.
Anyway, that's just that's a little bit of my past and
Right.
a little bit of my shame out
Right.
to the world.
You got to purge it on the internet.
Yeah. But from then on, I mean, as soon as I said that, I was like, in my mind, I was like, well, I'll never say that again. That's terrible. I should never have said that.
Well, you said you were in there with Victor and Sean, man. Those guys are the sweetest guys in the world, aren't they?
I love those guys, man. And,
oh, man.
Just such great players, man. I used to work with those guys all the time in LA, and we had the opportunity they were out in Nashville that one time to hook up with you and Ilya and them.
Yeah.
And I think Billy Noble played keys. And
yeah, man.
That was a great session, man. We did 6 songs that day with you.
Amazing. Victor is such a badass, man. Jesus.
Man, and just great guys, man. And they're actually going to be on here, I think, in a couple weeks.
Good.
To get together, yeah. So we're gonna have them on too. They're good buddies. And
you get the drum and bass duo.
Yeah, man. Well, they come together, man.
They're joined at the hip, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I have to tell you,
I don't know where Scott keeps coming in and out. He's like the gopher you can't quite get rid of, I guess.
I have to say that, Tom, when I moved back to Nashville, because I worked with Tim Pierce a lot in LA.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, so who's the guy I should call in Nashville? Who's the guy? He said you.
Oh,
so
wow,
that's where that came from. He's like, you got to call Tom, man.
Wow, man, that's sweet.
So
him and I are old buddies, man. He's a fucking great dude.
He's a great dude, man. He's a good guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Brett, are you keeping an eye on these comments over here?
I haven't. I can't even.
We got any?
Well, we've got Pammy Ann actually asked what questions she could ask, and I said you can ask anything you want. Then she asked about. Thanks. Okay. Well, what's y'all's take on the Morgan Wallen situation?
Well,
I don't know if we want to go there.
Goodness.
I mean, I played on all those records, man.
Yeah.
Joey made on him, and I love that dude, man. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, I think that he got caught in a bad moment, and you know,
like, dude,
goodness gracious,
like, I mean, come on, man. Like, if there was, was there a doorbell camera on every house when we were kids, right?
Right.
Fucking A, man.
Right.
But man, he came out and apologized, done the best he can to make up for it.
Right.
He's a fucking real person. He's a good dude. You can sit and have a real conversation with him, and he's not an egomaniac. He knows he's just a human being, man, like the rest of us,
But man, he's killing it.
And
he's killing it.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, you know, that the N-word has become part of the vernacular to a certain degree, and I don't think that he, you know, in my mind, based on what I've heard of the story, you know, it wasn't. He was talking about his buddy,
Right.
you know, a friend of his. It's like a term of endearment between
man.
guys,
Well,
and
I don't know the
you know,
details.
it's not something I ever say or even are tempted to say. But you know, you can't just cut people off at the
I don't
knees
think
for.
it was meant the way that the media interpreted. He was cutting up with his friends, and he's a good fella.
Well, the dude's got talent, man. Good record.
He's a badass, man.
So.
He's a fucking great singer and good dude. You know,
he's good.
I mean, I watched his like apology thing, and it seemed totally from the heart and legit. I don't know if you guys saw it. Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
I try not to keep up with current events. In fact, you know, when I heard about it, it was probably a week later than it happened.
Yeah, man. It's what do you guys feel about? How do you feel about cancel culture in general?
Oh man!
Oh god!
You're opening Pandora's box, man.
Yeah, probably not the best time to be talking about.
Well, I'll put it this way, man. I just went and bought about 5 Dr. Seuss books last week.
Right.
They're all
yeah.
What'd you spend? $80,000?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not going to have my kids not be able to read that stuff, man. I mean,
totally.
that's part of our history, you know. All that. Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. I mean, all that kind of stuff, man.
Totally. Man.
Well, I mean, to make it short, I mean, cancel culture just takes all the color out of life. So, I mean, if you want to have a vibrant life, relax.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel you on that, Troy. I feel you, buddy. Yeah.
Well, Tom, we really, really, really appreciate you coming on, man. Really.
Are you guys kicking me off already, man? I was just starting to have fun.
No, man, let's hang. We can hang out.
What are some of the other questions?
Did you buy a Mr. Potato Head too? No, I didn't, but I've got a couple of those.
Well, I want to know about Uncle Larry. Who the hell is Uncle Larry?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too.
I can't tell you that story. That's no, that's just some total random bullshit. I said it on a couple episodes as a joke, and I think the reason I ever said it in the first place was because when I was a kid in Winona's band, one of my first gigs I just mentioned, we had this guitar tech, and every once in a while he would do something for me, like he'd fix something, and he goes, yeah, just a little help from your Uncle Larry there, and he would always say that, and I don't know, it stuck in my head, and I just every once in a while I would say, and I said that on a couple of my episodes, everybody started calling me Uncle Larry, so I said, fuck it, it's the perfect moniker. But I got to tell you a story what happened a couple days ago. You ain't gonna believe this. All right, see, I'm 52 and I've been living in total anonymity the whole time. Nobody gives a shit about session players. You know what I mean? It's great if you want to have a very private life. Being a session player is like having a front row seat to stardom without being a part of it.
Without all baggage.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you get to work with all these great stars and stuff, and you get to see all the madness of being a star, but nobody gives a shit about session players, right? There's a couple people that read liner notes, but there's not many, right? So I'm just getting used to this whole even like 50,000 subscribers is crazy for me, right? So I go to Publix the other day, and I walk into Publix at about 7:00 at night, and I go to the deli counter because my wife wanted some sandwich meat for the kids' lunch, So I said there's these 2 older ladies behind the counter, and they look in their 60s or something, And I said to the one, I go, can I get like a pound of salami and a pound of cheese, And she goes, yeah, okay. And I go, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to go shop and get some other shit, and then I'll come back and get it. And she goes, oh, no. And I go, what? You don't trust me to come back? And she goes, yeah, it's something with the eyes. And I had a mask on. And I go, and I thought she was serious, Like I go, is she serious? And I said to her, I'll give you my license.
For lunch meat.
Yeah, for lunch meat. And I pulled out the license. She goes, let me see that license. and I handed over the big metal counter, you know,
Yeah.
and she picks this fucking license up and she looks at it for like 45 seconds, just staring at it, and then she goes, "Uncle Larry."
Oh my God!
She goes,
Wow,
little Tommy from Cleveland, and I go,
that's great.
And she goes,
Unbelievable.
"Yeah, my son watches you. He's obsessed with you."
Oh,
Oh,
man,
that's great. Oh,
I
how
mean,
fun.
I'm like, this kind of shit is so foreign to me because I have never had anybody recognize me anywhere. You know what I mean?
Oh, how
This is
fun.
all
Yeah.
new, you know?
That's
but
crazy.
you know what, man? Like guitar players, especially, are like an underground culture, and we like, you know, we love our guitar heroes, man. And that's
you know, that's what I always say. Like, I'm famous amongst guitar nerds only, right? You know, no real general public would ever.
Right, and guitar nerds don't generally bump into each other like that. They're usually in the basement playing guitar.
Totally, or online looking at pedals. You know,
what are you playing there? What do you got in your?
My old 59 335 that I love dearly.
Hell
yeah, man.
I used to have a Gibson 125. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, dude, those are great.
125.
Totally.
Yeah.
Those are
It got stolen, but I had an old 125 that I used to tour with back in the early 2000s.
Those are cool, man.
Hey, I actually want to hear about your pedal board. So for all the guitar nerds out there, because I've actually looked your pedal board up online before, because it's online.
I think Scott's more interested in your pedal board than anybody.
I'm actually interested in it too. I mean,
I'm more interested in some of the other fucking questions.
Well,
talk about your pedal boards, man.
Well, but what do you?
I'm totally into the pedal board thing.
Yeah. But how do you feel like? How do you feel like about the Axe 3 and that kind of stuff?
What's that? What is that?
What's it called? It's the processing thing. It's
like
I think that tells you how he feels about it.
Fractal. It's like fractal, yeah.
No, I don't do any of that stuff, man.
That's what I was thinking. If you don't know what it is, that tells you.
Yeah. I'm old school, man. Guitars and amps, man. That's it'll always be like that for me until I'm dead.
So do you?
In the not so distant future.
Do you have a Kemper? You don't have anything like that?
No, man. I don't do that.
Have you ever thought about getting your rig? No. Well, just for the audience, I mean, if I was to go anywhere, that a Kemper is a unit that can essentially carbon copy your tone.
Right.
It's a model.
And it's pretty amazing how well it can do that.
Yeah, man.
And I guess Fractal can do it too. Have you ever, Tom, have you ever been in a situation where you were able to A/B that?
Yeah, I actually went just a couple of days ago. John McBride at Blackbird said, you got to come by and check out some of these Kemper profiles. So I went and sat in the control room with this young kid who's like a wizard with that shit. And then we had a couple of real amps set up. You know, we had some like an old high watt, and I brought in an old Marshall. And, you know, they recorded it. They did the profile, and it was cool. It sounds good.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I guess it's like, I don't know, man. A belief, right? I got to have tubes and speakers and shit, man. It's like a religion to me, man.
But do you have something that you like, a tube screamer that you love, or like an H9 or something that you use all the time?
Oh, dude, yeah. There's plenty of gear that I couldn't live without. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, here's one for you right here.
You see that thing behind me?
Yeah.
That's that Evo Ever tube spring reverb unit that my buddy made. That's the best piece of gear that's come along in the world of guitar in the last 5 years. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's the best sounding spring reverb unit on planet Earth, man. It's fucking rad, man.
Cool, man.
And that kind of like every once in a while, you know, every couple of years, like one piece will come along, and you're like, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
that made my life different
some of our stuff
than it was before, you know.
Yeah.
And but man, most of the shit in guitar world and guitar culture is just repeating, you know.
Right.
Trying to repackage shit that we already knew about in the 60s and shit, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's still fun to look, man. You know, I'm not against any of it. I try new shit, and if something
Have
comes
you ever
along,
played
it's
through a
amazing.
Dumble?
Yeah, sure, they're great.
Yeah.
But
I assume they're great.
Are they worth
it
it?
heavenly?
Are they worth the price of admission? You know?
Not to me, man. You know, not to me. But I'm sure they are to some people. You know?
Yeah.
So you've had an opportunity to buy one and didn't?
Oh God, are you kidding? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Because what are we
Yeah.
talking? We're talking 20 grand. What are we talking?
Oh, there's some of them are like 80 grand. You know.
Wow.
But
unbelievable.
Dude, you know, I mean, it doesn't take much, man. You don't have to have all that shit. You get an old Tweed Deluxe, man. If you can't get it going with an old Tweed Deluxe, man, it's your fault.
It's got to be okay.
You know, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
Tom,
your fault, right?
Hey Tom, we got a question for you, buddy.
Yeah.
From the see here.
Yeah.
Hey, Uncle Larry, what makes vintage Les Pauls, Strats, 335s, and Tellys so much better than a well-made current Gibson or Fender with a great setup and great pickups?
Simple answer. Okay, I've said this on a few other episodes, or like I did a thing with Rhett Schul. He asked me to be on his show. It's not myth. It's not like folklore like people think it is. People think there's some kind of like mystical sort of folklore attached to this shit. I feel like it's just the wood exclusively. When Gibson was making Les Pauls in the late 50s, the wood they were using was already 100 years old. Seasoned Honduran mahogany, Brazilian rosewood, the best fucking wood you could ever build a guitar up. That it was already seasoned for 100 years when they were making those guitars. You know, in like the cheapest budget line Gibson you could buy in 1959 still had Brazilian rosewood fretboard on a $50 guitar, brand new at that time. Yeah. So like the EPA restrictions and all the environmental stuff, you know, you can't get Brazilian rosewood anymore. You can't get old growth Honduran mahogany and any of this shit. And I think all the people that are building guitars now have great intentions, and they want to make, you know, accurate rebuilds of these classic guitars, but the actual materials are not available that make the guitars so great. So I mean, that in my mind is the main number one thing, you know. And of course, every once in a while you're going to play a new Fender or a new Gibson. This is a badass guitar, man. It plays great. But like, I mean, I've had, you know, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a brand new 335 that can kick this thing's ass. I'm not saying it's impossible. It could happen. Yeah. But it'd be fucking hard.
What year did you what year did you say that was?
This is a 59 from the golden age, man. And it's expensive, and I see why people don't want to fuck with these, because they're so expensive, and I hate the fact that they're that expensive. I wish they weren't that expensive. You know, I don't want to pay crazy money for a guitar as much as anybody else. But man, when it's like, you know, I'm not a guy that's going to have like a bunch of guitars. I just like to have a few really good guitars. Yeah. And man, if I could find a brand new 335 to kick this thing's ass, I would fucking buy it in a second. Yeah. But I can't. Right.
Yeah, but a lot of that's also the player, right? I mean, I'm sure other guys that play that guitar are not going to sound even near as good as you are. You're going to sound.
You know, I've used the analogy before. This analogy right here does it all. How good do you have to be at pool to tell the difference between a $10 bar stick and a $100,000 custom-made cue, right? like how fucking good do you have to be to be able to even notice the difference, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that goes for any profession, right?
Yeah. You're right.
Tools, right. Like if you're just an average guitar player, like an intermediate or beginner, of course you're not going to be able to notice the differences and subtleties of these instruments. But and I'm not saying, like I've said a million times, no one has ever mastered a guitar. I don't believe it's possible to master any instrument.
Yeah,
but you know, after a life of fucking working at it every day, you can get pretty damn good. That's about the end of it, right? And like after all these years of playing, man, I feel like I can tell a really good guitar in like by going like this. That's all I have to do, and I can tell you if it's a good one or not. And it's like, but
does it have to be in tune?
No. But all, just the guitar acoustically tells you everything you need to know. You don't even have to plug it in, man. Acoustically. So, man, I totally get why people don't want to fuck around with vintage shit. I get it. It's too expensive. They think it's a myth. They think it's silly. But man, I'm telling you, it's not silly.
Well, the wood argument makes total sense. I think you're right.
Yes.
I mean, the density of wood in a 100-year-old piece of wood is totally different, and that makes total sense. So where do you like to shop around town?
Oh man, well, when you go down on 8th Avenue, you got 3 great choices. You got Groons, Carter's, and then Rumble Seat. I'm real tight with the guys at Groons. Groons is my, and also Rumble Seat. I don't really go to Carter's much. I think it's a great store, but I'm not as, I don't know those guys as well, right? Yeah. But
I fell in love with Carter's when I went there, man. They're great.
Yeah, man, it's great. They're all great, and but Groons is like that's my home. I love going up there and hanging out with those repair
guys. But they don't
guys.
get a lot of electric guitars. Do they get a lot of electric guitars?
Oh yeah, they get plenty of stuff. Yeah, they get. Yeah. But we're lucky in Nashville to have so many great choices of places, man. It's fucking Guitar City.
Yeah. Man. How much do you miss? How much do you miss Corner Music?
Oh, dude, man, that was a great story. It's still around though, right?
Corner Music. Yeah, they're still around, but they're north of town.
Right.
They're not very convenient.
Not very convenient, right? Yeah, man.
Hey, we got one more question for you.
Hit me.
Did you ever try to learn? What's that? Oh, did you ever try to learn some of Eddie Van Halen's riffs? Was he a mentor of yours?
Oh, of course, man. I mean, I'm a huge Van Halen fan. When I was a kid, I was late to the Van Halen party, man. The first Van Halen album I ever heard was their 4th album. I never even heard any of their early shit. And a friend of mine kept saying, "You got to hear Van Halen." So I went to the record store and I bought Fair Warning, which was their 4th album.
Great album.
And I took it home and put it on the turntable, and it fucking blew my mind, man. I mean, I'm a huge fan. Yeah. Always will be, man. I just.
Hey, so what record was Eruption on? Was that 1984?
That was on VH1.
Diver Down. Was that Diver Down, or was it?
No, that was on the first album.
Oh, okay.
Van Halen 1.
So hit us with some Eruption. Can you hit us with some Eruption?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. That shit, right? I can't play like he does, but I loved it, man.
Awesome.
He was you know what the thing about Eddie that gets overlooked is his pocket, his rhythm playing.
Yeah.
He was a fucking sick rhythm player, and his pocket and his time was amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he could fucking play a groove, man. And if you look past the pyrotechnics of his amazing soloing, he was a great rhythm player,
Yeah.
And he knew how to get a great sound. He was a pioneer, man.
Yeah.
I mean, no one.
Yeah, he was an absolute true musician. I mean, what he did with the keyboard part of Jump. I mean, I think as a guitar player, when you transfer into a different. I mean, he probably did play piano, but probably not. Yeah. I mean, it's not as much. But some of those chord structures he played. At the end of that, the end of that lick is really impressive. It's like a B3 player. It's how a B3 player would play.
It is, dude.
Well, I actually want to know, like, what are some of your biggest influences as guitar players?
My favorite guitar player of all time, I've told this many times, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah, same here, man.
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
I'm a huge Floyd fan. Always have been. Something about his playing just guts me, man. I just love him, and I think my second favorite player is Pete Townsend, who and I'll put George Harrison up there, Steve Howe from Yes, There's a lot of great guys.
So
Man.
that's interesting to me, though. Most of those first guys you chose, to me, are melodic players. And I mean, David Gilmour is one of my favorites too, man.
Yeah, man, he's a badass, man. I'll tell you what, if I could sit and if you could, I would love to sit and talk to him and Pete. I almost had a chance to meet Pete when he came into town a couple years ago, and I would have loved to talk to him, man. Both of those guys I'm fascinated with, man. Both of them. Yeah. I'd love to meet him someday, you know, just to sit and talk to him. You know?
Yeah, bud.
Both yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, dude.
Well, guys, we've gone about an hour, man. Maybe we should wrap this up and let Tom get back to his life.
Yeah, let you guys.
Tom, thank you so much for doing this, man. We really appreciate it. It all worked out really well, and thank you for playing for us.
See you, buddy.
You think that crazy noise that's been going on the whole time is going to be on the broadcast?
I hope not.
Yes, it is. Yes, I'm sure it's going to be on the broadcast.
I hope not.
I'm sure it is.
It sounds like aliens. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to remind everybody that our single's coming out on Friday. It's called "Tumbling Down," and Tom Bukovac played on that song with us or for us. And when you push play and you hear that song, that's the first thing you hear is going to be Tom.
Am I in tune?
It's all relative, man. Yeah, you are.
Was that close to being in tune?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great,
man, this has been a lot of fun. You guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you, man.
Take it easy. Have a good one, buddy.
Okay, buddy. Talk to you later. How do you get out of this thing?
I don't know.
Just put him backstage and he'll figure it out.
Okay, buddy.
All right. See you, bud.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Another episode of Nashvillains Happy Hour, formerly Beer 30, but we're going to go with Happy Hour from now on.
Yep.
And I want to remind you of this Tumbling Down release on Friday. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. Hit the pre-save button so that you can listen to it right as it drops, buddy.
And also go by and check out Tom Bukovac's channel and all his shows on YouTube. Just check all that out.
Yeah, I think it's called Homeschooling with an apostrophe at the end.
Yep.
So check that out on YouTube.
Yep.
Tom Bukovac, Homeschooling. Guys, thanks for joining us. You guys have a good night.
Later, everyone.
Bye, Scott.